Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome on, welcome to another episode of the Direct Podcast. Everything you need to know about the universes you love. I'm your host, Matt Rimke, and I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host, box office correspondent, senior editor at thedirect.com, Mr. David Thompson. David, happy Thursday. How are you?
Happy Thursday. I'm doing well, and we are just moving and grooving through the latest Disney Plus MCU series. It's kind of crazy, man. Like every time one of these shows is upcoming, it's like, man, I can't wait. Here we go. Here it is. And besides Penguin, because it's taking like 10 days off, it just when it starts, it's rolling, man. Like when it
Ooh,
was last night, when it's like, oh, new episode tonight. I'm like, really? It's already been a week. So here we go. We're rolling. Happy to be here.
love to see it. The red brand is back on the weird teal blue app, which I just hate the new color of Disney
Uh,
Plus, by the way. I just hate it.
Maybe
It
they'll mix
bums
in
me
some
out.
red soon for ESPN Plus when they do that crossover as well.
Is that right? Is that the move?
I don't know.
As as a graphic artist, I think that's a really bad idea. But we will see. We are not alone today. We are joined by a longtime guest of the Direct podcast, an OG at thedirect.com, and one of the biggest machines in the entertainment journalism industry. You know him, you love him, California's own Richard Nebens. Nebens, what up, buddy?
David, Matt, it is great to be back. It has been a long time since I've been on here. Last time we were doing the first Deadpool movie. And also, shout out to you guys from last week. It is a tall order following Amy Dirac talking about Agatha All Along. I watched that whole episode on YouTube. You guys were fantastic. It's one of the most
Thank you.
fun conversations I've seen in a while.
Thank
But
you.
I am so excited to be back for some new Marvel content. Agatha All Along has been great, and I'm so looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, man, it's a good time. It's a vibe of a show, and it's hurt near time to talk about it. That's right. What if I did a whole episode in that accent? You know what I mean? All right, everything you need to know about them universes that you be loving.
God.
Um,
Someone's
I,
first time
you know
tuning
what's
in.
funny? The one thing I'm mad at myself because I lived in Boston for 6 years when I went to school. I never went one day at work where I did a Boston accent the entire day and tried to see how many people I could fake out doing it because I totally would have
uh,
done that.
I wonder how many would have been able to fake out.
Yeah, you just go
at
Parky County.
work's a
Yeah,
weird place to do it, because they know you.
yeah,
That would have been something. But,
yeah.
I always forget that you used to live in Boston. We're not here to talk about Nebens' travels across the country, damn it. You know, he's a
Yeah.
trained musician too. Does anybody know that? No, probably not. But that's my guy, Nebens. Layers, layers. We're here to talk about Agatha All Along, episode 4. We are coming off of episodes 1 and 2. So, before we get into overall thoughts, Nebens, I want to ask, what are your thoughts on the show so far, and what were your thoughts on episode 3?
I am very much enjoying Agatha so far. I mean, as somebody who WandaVision is probably one of my top two MCU Disney Plus projects, Agatha All Along is right up my alley. I wouldn't say it's like quite reaching WandaVision levels right now, but I am very much enjoying it. It's very close. I mean, Catherine Hahn is a whole thing. Love her as Agatha Harkness. Need me some more Aubrey Plaza in this series just as a whole because her and Catherine Hahn together is just mwah. Um, this series is great. It's, as we said, I'm a musician. It's appealing to my music soul. Loving the music that we're getting in this series so far, especially in episode 2. And episode 3 was a lot of fun too. Definitely looking forward to getting into this one, diving into all the details.
Now, Nevins, I know you're a band nerd. Were you also a theater nerd?
Absolutely. Yeah, both.
Love that. Yeah, that this is so theater coded. I feel like
Very.
if you have
Seriously.
any experience in theater, this is going to speak to you in so many different ways.
I,
Especially
yeah.
all the melodrama, which is great. um, David Thompson, your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, of which I'm very excited to hear.
By the way, before my opinions really quick, I watched Hairspray last night for the first time.
Did you not?
Okay.
Okay, that's a movie.
Cool.
Never seen it, and I have no idea why we watched it. Loved it. John Travolta in
Wow.
it,
Okay,
absolutely
yeah.
electric.
Right?
I was
Amanda
like, this
Bynes,
is the
Zac
best
Efron.
thing.
Like
Yeah.
High School
Um,
Musical Zac Efron.
yeah, like
Which
OG
is
Zac Efron, little tiny baby Zac. He was
his agent.
awesome, dude. That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Like speaking of music and musicals and the theater kids
Yeah.
of it all, like that's prominent on my brain. And
Can't
so many of the
stand that movie.
songs, you can't stand it.
Can't stand it.
I get it. Like I enjoyed watching it, and like Jasmine really,
Yeah.
obviously she really wanted to like rewatch it. She like loves the music. She likes it was like one of those moments she heard one song and was like, all right, we're
Hmm.
watching it, you know?
Oh, I'm such a sucker for that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
such a
love
sucker
when
for
that
that.
happens.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's like we're supposed to start doing our speaking of fall and throw back to the fall draft. Shout out Jack Buse. We were gonna start with Harry Potter. And then it was like, oh, she heard the song. That's the thing. I'm like, all right, cool, it's good.
Let's do Hairspray.
Hear
Agatha
that.
All Along, episode 3. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this one personally. I think this is definitely the worst episode yet. I thought it was concerning in the sense that I hope this episode is not a sign of things to come in terms of like the box and adventure of the week. I kind of thought it was giving TV in a bad way, and I hate to be that guy. But for me personally, I didn't love it. I really did not like one specific spoiler name drop, and that was pretty interesting to me. We will talk about that later on today's podcast. But in general, I was just let down personally. Coming off the first 2 episodes, it was not. We always talk about. We've been talking about Acolyte a lot because it was our latest Disney Plus review that we did over the summer. It was not to the extent I was maybe let down or maybe like, uh-oh, when I saw that episode 3. But I was just like, this is kind of a step down for me. Didn't love it. And like Richard nailed it again. Really missed Aubrey Plaza again. Like you even like when you watch the first 2 episodes back to back, you don't really miss her as much, and you're like, oh right, she wasn't in that episode. That's crazy. This one, I'm like, like it relies a lot, I think, on like this new coven, and not looking back. I was trying to like research and stuff, like getting ready for the podcast. I'm like, not a ton happens, like you could really recap that episode kind of quickly for me. So yeah, just a little disappointed. Matt, what did you think?
An interesting place we're in right now, right? Because so rarely do you and I get to differ on these things. That's why we have to bring guests in like Nebens to hopefully have some sort of third opinion.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about this is I loved this episode for the reasons that you didn't.
Hmm.
It's not even that I liked it more than you. I hope this is what we get moving forward. I loved the mission of the week vibe with this, with the trials. And also, the word trials is never not dope. I mean, we can all be honest with that, right? Super Mario, am I right?
Yeah.
In
But
that context, it's great. Yeah.
yeah, no, it is. And it's dope. I need a hero. But
Yeah, Mario, Salem Witch, you name it.
yeah, it's the same thing, right? But
A lot of magic.
some people are going to get that, and I appreciate that. No, I loved the trial of the week vibe of this. I think that if this is the plot device, I think it's a fun plot device to use. Now, David, with the of the week anything in these TV shows, you need to interlace some drama, you need to interlace some dynamics, you need to progress, if not the plot, the character development, one or the other, right? This is such an ensemble, so outwardly, you know what I mean? It's like the point
Yeah.
of this show is the ensemble, right? So I feel like they balance the what I would say 3 main characters of this episode well. I'm excited to see where those little seeds go moving forward. And I think that there is a tone, there is a weird, middling comedy to this that is goofy, but also kind of clever in a way that I'm vibing with in a very, really cool way. I think Joe
Yeah.
Locke has a lot to do with that. And also, goats are going to be goats, and this is a hell of a goat being a goat episode. And we'll get into that here shortly when we get to our winners and losers, which I'm thinking about rebranding MVP, LVP. Thoughts, opinions?
We've done it before. We could do it again.
Damn it.
I don't mind it.
This fucking podcast. So those are your overall thoughts. Let's bring in our fourth chair, Mr. Michael Keaton, to get into spoilers.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in the MVP segment, the new and improved MVP segment of our review. Who is the most valuable player? Who or what worked best for you, Richard Nebens and Agatha All Along, episode 3.
It's funny too, because like listening to you guys talk about like what you liked and didn't like about this week already, I'm almost kind of right in the middle, like it just as an overall vibe. There was definitely some things that I really enjoyed about this week, but then I definitely agree with David. There was some things that I was disappointed by. In terms of MVP this week, I just really enjoyed this. Is going to be kind of a general thing, just how witchy things got. Because, I mean, obviously,
Sure.
this series is centered on Agatha Harkness, one of the biggest witches in the MCU in all Marvel comics. And things got very witchy in a good way. Some of the stuff we were looking forward to with this Halloween vibes and stuff, like all the spells and incantations and,
Mhm.
pulling out hairs for the potions and everything. And I loved
It's cool.
Jen's stuff this week, too. Um, but yeah, all that stuff at the end in the house and like all the spells and the magic and trying to get that back and like as they move along the witch's road and everything. I definitely enjoyed that vibe of it. I mean, it wasn't like I think I could have used maybe a little more of it if I'm being honest, but I enjoyed that part of it this week and that was a lot of fun.
Love it. Yeah, the witch shit. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that
Definitely.
there is so much tropey witch stuff that they can do, and I feel like every week we're going to see him hit their marks here and there. The Hansel and Gretel bit. I had a friend who crawled into an oven, and she had a really nice house too. I mean, like that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
cheeky, it's
Yeah.
fun, but that's the MCU, man. I just finished watching Captain America: The First Avenger. So good, just so good. But
To me,
even
still the most underrated movie in MCU history.
ooh,
Might be.
it's on I'll put it on the list for
Ooh,
sure.
that's a draft.
Yeah.
It's a good
Everything's a
draft.
draft. Yeah.
I know my top two hard. Anyway, but even in Captain America: Winter Soldier, they have while the Fiora searches for trinkets in the desert. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
a very blatant and out front Indiana Jones reference, and like
Mhm.
this having a Hansel and Gretel reference. Like we're gonna get the Wizard of Oz. We're gonna get the Wizard of Oz episode at some point. Like I love how they're leaning into it, very much like WandaVision. Jack Schaefer, she has a move and she does it well, I think. And
Yeah.
I think Witch Shit is a cool MVP. David?
Yeah, absolutely. What shit is a great MVP, and mine goes along with that. I was gonna say the horror aspects. We
Hmm.
mentioned comedy. I
Mm.
thought the horror aspects were, and I'm not even a big horror guy,
Yeah.
frightening
Same.
and just fantastically done. And it was the WandaVision of it all, the cracks. When Sharon all of a sudden is like, Wanda, let him go, like let him breathe. I'm like, holy shit, like we are so back, man.
Back.
Terrifying.
That was awesome. Like that genuinely, that was back to what I talked about last week when it reminded me of the same kind of vibe. This is my favorite part. If you can really hone in of this series so far, is when Agatha was getting broken out of the spell and she was going through all the phases and all of the generations and stuff and her outfits and all that. Like and that whole scene with the dead body. And then to this, we have all these hallucinations, right? And all of them were so scary. Agatha, Catherine Hans, by far the best, in my opinion. I did like, the Sharon part where she's talking to Wanda. That was great. But when it's the whole like her son, Nicholas, apparently, allegedly traded him for the Darkhold, the cradle, the Darkhold's in it. That was awesome. I loved every second of that. So for me, the big MVP is definitely the horror scenes and specifically that sequence to really hone it in.
Yeah, the spooky and the scary. Spooky, scary skeletons, that kind of thing. It's cool.
Yeah.
The tone seems to be hitting. You know what I mean? Like plot, entertainment, this, that, the other. I feel like they're really catching whatever this weird Halloween vibe that they're going with, which by the way, 3 episodes in, September 26th. Like Halloween's still not for over a month. And then, they're really building up, and I think it's really cool. Nebens, were you scared? Were you scared or were you wait?
There's not much these days that like actually really scares me. I mean, it's creepy. There's some creepy stuff, and I respect that, and I really enjoy it now, especially in shows like this. But no, it takes a lot to scare me these days.
What about feline AIDS? Interest rates.
That's a good question. Good question.
Yeah. I mean, we should all be a little more scared of feline AIDS, I think. Shout out Debbie Downer. It's an underrated SNL bit. David, do you have any idea what I'm talking about with Debbie Downer?
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
it's Rachel Dratch. It's Saturday Night Live. It's a bunch of friends hanging out, and she just goes, I just found out I have feline AIDS. It's Debbie Downer, man. It's funny.
Shout out SNL.
Oh, dude. So I got a
Do you love
TV.
SNL?
got a TV that's got like those like generic TV stations on it, like the Conan O'Brien channel, like that kind of thing. And it's been stuck on the Conan O'Brien channel forever because we just haven't changed it. I went one channel up, it's SNL Vault. So every time I turn on my TV, it's a random SNL skit. It is
nice.
Awesome. It is awesome. It's very cool. MVPs, spooky and scary. You guys both went meta. Puts me in a tight spot to pick an MVP a little bit because I feel like Catherine Hahn, it's David, we run into this so often when we do these shows, right? Because like the lead is often so good with these Disney Plus shows. They tend to get the lead right in these Disney Plus shows, and it's just boring to pick Loki every week. It's boring to pick Amanda Stolberg.
Yeah, Amanda Stolberg.
Her.
Sandberg? Yeah, I don't know.
It's boring to pick her acting every week because she's a great actress, right? So Catherine Hahn, I think it's not like she overperformed in this week. I'm picking Deborah Jo Rupp because this is a legend in the game, and she just got to do Kitty Foreman today. And I think that is so fun that we got a full-blown Kitty Foreman episode, and it was funny. The wine bit, don't judge me. And this is beautiful cardstock. It's expensive. And I think
not the upholstery.
Nothing. Oh my God, on the upholstery.
If you wanted to tell me that Agatha All Along is just a That 70s Show spinoff, I would have no issues with it whatsoever.
Nobody would be upset. You know what I mean? Why don't we take the girl talking in the living room? Bury me in that kitchen. Like all that stuff, dude. Everything she says.
Deborah Jo Rupp, man.
You know what this is? This is a kidnapping. It just kills me, man. She's so great. I grew up with her. I love every second of her. And then how sad are we when she dies, man? That is so sad. And it's a bummer. And you wanted to see her go along the rest of the trials. But David, it opens up a roster spot for Aubrey Plaza. So,
really? I thought that sort of. Actually, I didn't think that at all. I'm lying. That was the first time I thought about that. I thought very Willy Wonka. Okay. One down. Several more to go, right?
Oh, see, that would be a very interesting way to take this.
I think that's how it's going to go.
That.
I think almost certainly. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I have no idea.
See, we both had completely different thoughts there. You see,
purple.
This is going to be a fun month, I think.
Right. And it might not be every episode, right? But it could be, every, as they go along the road, they might all survive. I guess the argument is like, because she's not a witch. I guess, that changes things.
No, but I like the idea of it being a little Willy Wonka. We're going to lose somebody every episode kind of thing. Another very underrated bit in Willy Wonka is Mr. Wonka, do something. No, stop. Wait.
No, stop.
You can't. No. Wait. Dude, it's so good. It's so good every time.
I love that movie.
No, but Deborah Jo Rupp, I think she shined. She's objectively funny. And it feels natural. I saw an interview where like the Kitty Foreman laugh was a mistake, and she kind of like got stuck with it, like Guy Fieri in the hair. But she's owned it, she's perfected it, and we got to get a taste of it here in the MCU, and I think that's awesome. Deborah Jo Rupp's going to be my MVP because she deserves it. Goats are goats. Moving on to LVPs, least valuable players, Richard Nebens. What element or character did not work for you? What was missing in this episode?
I don't want to say necessarily anything was missing, but kind of along the lines of what David was saying earlier a little bit, this felt a little filler episode to me. If I don't want to like dub it that, because I really don't like the term like filler episode, because everybody uses that when it's like an episode they don't like. And I like this episode. There's a lot to like about this episode, but it did feel like this is just kind of the next puzzle piece along the road. I mean, I will say that Deborah Jo Rupp's death obviously helped with that, helped take it past that. But I think this was just like the next step along the road, the next like puzzle piece that needed to be fit in to fill in the entire picture. More so than the first couple episodes felt like. I think the first couple episodes felt a little more like fresh, different, something we hadn't quite seen before in the MCU. This one felt a little, I hate using the term like filler episode or by the numbers, but it kind of felt like that at points in this episode, just the overall plot and arc of this one. And I just thought that was probably the weekest point of this one. I think overall, this is probably the weakest of the three to me. even like I said, as much as I liked it, um, I hope that changes going into next week, and especially just because too, it's tough because there's 9 episodes. It was almost the same thing with WandaVision, except they had the whole sitcom thing going every single week, and like they could go back and forth between the Hex and the real world and everything. So that's mine. Not too big of a loser, but it definitely hurt it a little bit for me.
You see, it's fascinating because like I feel like I align with you two on a lot of things within the universes you love, and that I'm excited for this to be a puzzle piece type episode. And I think more than anything, I feel like episodes 1 and 2 really set that up well. Like, okay, we got to do the Witches Road, we got to get the team together, and it was even pointed out in this episode, like the trials is how we're gonna do it because it's in the song. I'm a little over the song, if I'm being completely honest, but um
Over the
but I
song.
they just keep referencing the damn song, man. This Witches
Oh,
Road song. It's over and over and over.
it's important.
But it's so important, David. And
Yeah.
we got to print the lyrics out. We got to memorize it like we're in fraternity again.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just think that the trial aspect of this I enjoyed. I like that they had something to do when they got to the house. They kind of paired off even a little bit, and like there was that pep talk moment, like I never liked you, but like we got to get this potion made, so like let's figure it out. They got creative, and it matched with the witch stuff, and then I don't know, I liked the layering of it all with the trials of it. It's just interesting to me to feel like that's a reason you guys aren't vibing with it. David Thompson, your LVP.
Yeah, very similar to Richard here, so don't really need to repeat anything. But I'm gonna focus more so on Aubrey Plaza not being here, and not just because I love Aubrey Plaza. It's because her character Rio, I mentioned it last week, brings such a spark to this show, and I feel like
Yeah.
with her in it, with her and Catherine Hahn, it's just a better show. The best scenes in the show still are when those two are on screen. And, this is what happens when we review these things week by week. It changes how we see things, but it's a total nitpick because it's not like, oh, I have no idea if she'll ever come back in the series. Obviously, she's going to have this huge role going forward, and it's kind of like, I think about it with like, movies or sports, of course, Matt, and the NFL season is upon us and it's overreaction Monday, where I feel like for this series, this episode specifically, I could sit here and overreact like crazy right now. But it's not important, I don't think this episode by itself is that great. But that doesn't mean this episode sets up the future of the show in a bad way, because I know Aubrey Plaza's coming. I know the rest of the journey can be very interesting. And I know the inner darkness that I mentioned in like Winners, there's more to that coming. And I feel like that's the most interesting element of the show so far. So I am still invested in that sense, but this episode just didn't do really much to, grip me in any real way. And I guess that would be the biggest thing where I felt kind of like Richard was saying, when I was watching it, okay, right? Like I'm like, all right, here we go. It kind of felt like a side quest in a video game, literally. That's how it was set up.
Yeah,
And very much so. You're
definitely.
going along the road. Here comes like the side quest. You got to go through this. It's relatively easy. Put the potions together. Boom, you pop out, you're out, someone dies, whatever, keep moving forward, right? The keep moving forward part is what I'm looking forward to the most.
Less video game, more board game, if I may.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a
I
little
may.
bit.
It's it's one of those things. I'm with you there that the lack of energetic character. Not I don't feel like there was a lack of energy in this show because of the horror stuff. And once that clock started ticking, I did feel a little 24-ish with it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And all
Yeah.
those things. But I'm with you in that like she is such a dynamic character. I'm very interested to see how the other witches react to Aubrey Plaza. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
what is their relationship if there is one?
Mm.
And also, like, if I can go back to your point about the acolyte, David, I agree. I see what you're saying about it, and if I can speak on your behalf, episode 3 of Acolyte made you say, "Oh no." This just kind of like lulled you a little bit. It
Yeah.
didn't make you say, "Oh no," which I think,
Mhm.
and for all intents and purposes, can be a win. My biggest loser was also the lack of Aubrey Plaza, but I figured that would be yours as well. So I have a little bit of a backup, and this is very off-brand for the direct podcast, but it's coming off of how much I enjoyed Echo. Might be a better binge.
Right.
It might be
Yeah.
a better episode dropper. This series. Now we're only 3 episodes in. We cannot claim that yet. You know what I mean? Like it could ramp up even more. You know what I mean? This could just kind of be like a new setup kind of thing.
It could have
But
been by the way, it could have been even a Netflix part one, part two deal. I could see where that could have worked well. 4 episodes, 5 or 5 episodes and 4. And they are, I mean, I think this is the most unique Disney Plus big brand, universes we love drop because it's 2 episode premiere and then a 2 episode finale, which is pretty
is that
unique.
Right. Never
Yeah.
done that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. So I think it kind of knows it's not a weekly drop show.
Sure.
So it's kind of working around it and making it happen.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian is what scares me. You know what I mean? Because that was a week to week that fell flat. Mandalorian 3, that is.
Season
But
3,
yeah, so
yeah.
I just want to put it in a tickler file. Could be a better binge. And again, that's more so off of how well that worked with Echo, I think. I think that worked really well with Echo. I watched half of it at night and half of it the next morning. And that worked really well for me. I think maybe this could trend that way, but we'll see. Let's move into top plays. Richard Nebens, what is your top play from Agatha All Along, episode 3?
I hope I'm not stealing anything from you guys. I think just every
do.
single thing with Deborah Jo Rupp.
Yeah.
Kitty Foreman, Sharon Davis, Miss Hart, whatever you want to call her. She was
Miss
just and I love that the fact too, like that's another like sidebar top play is Agatha just continually calling her Mrs. Hart, even though like the whole back and forth between Sharon and Agatha and then all the other witches, that is highly entertaining to me. But no, everything that Deborah Jo Rupp did in this episode just had me with a smile on my face the entire time, from her losing her purse in the mud, almost getting sucked in. All the stuff in the house was just pure that 70s show. The kitchen and the upholstery and everything. And
very expensive.
Very expensive.
Kill me. Because like somebody goes, you know what that means, right? And she goes, it means it's very expensive. It's funny, man.
So great. I loved every second of it. And I mean, I'm bummed we're probably not going to get to see her anymore. I know this is the MCU where nobody's actually dead, but this one kind of feels like, I don't know if they would kill her off just to kill off this kind of character to bring her back at a later date, even as amazing as Deborah Jo Rupp's been this whole time.
I think it makes it a good death, in my opinion. I got a quick one, David, that goes off of that a little bit. Heads will roll at the end, man. Sharon's dead. Who? Head will roll.
That was great.
Amazing beat drop, and that's the needle drop I can get with, man. That was awesome. It was funny, and it was jarring a little bit, and I don't know why that song works so well when somebody gives this face like right beforehand. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just smash cuts to head roll.
I love that.
It's such a
Also,
good beat.
Quick side note before David goes, we need to do another needle drops draft.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Because it's been way too long, and I could have a completely different team than I had the last time.
Yeah.
We could do a post-Infinity Saga needle drop, I think. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
WandaVision alone. WandaVision might get the Guardians rule.
Deadpool and Wolverine alone.
That too. Again, could be a Guardians rule thing. And for those who don't know, the Guardians rule in music drafts, you can't draft more than one Guardians thing. Because we could have just a Guardians draft if we really wanted to, which
easy.
Think we might need to. San Francisco can get in there really easily. That song's good, man. San Francisco by the Mowgli's. Dude, it's incredible. David Thompson, your top play.
Let's do it, man. My not top play of the week.
No!
An Agent of Mephisto. Wah, wah, wah. That was the worst possible way to address Mephisto for the first time. Leave us on the hook, man. Leave us on the hook. Keep us there. We've been there for 3 years now. Just keep doing it. That was not it. That's all I got to say, man. Saying basically Teen could be an agent of Mephisto and moving right along. No, that was my going into the series, my primer winner, or what did we say? MVP, expected MVP was Jack Schaefer.
Preseason MVP.
Preseason MVP. That was my big #1 whiff from Jack Schaefer, which I assume obviously had a lot to do with that, because she knows all the Mephisto madness that was happening in 2021 with WandaVision, and I was audibly struck when that happened. I was like, that was it. Like, I feel like there was so much. I mean, maybe it had died down, but to me, there was so much anticipation still for that name drop and anything related to Mephisto to just say it and move along. Total disappointments. That's my not top play.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't love it. I didn't
Yeah.
love it.
I was just
I
surprised. Really surprised.
Yeah,
I know
it did feel like it kind of came and went without any fanfare.
right. When I watched episode 3 on the screener and didn't get to episode 4. So when I heard it originally, I had like Aubrey Plaza Mephisto. Like this is kind of where my head's going a little bit. It still could go there.
Yeah.
But after it came out proper and I scrolled through the Twitter and there's some more Aubrey Plaza rumors going on that I like way more than that. And I don't want to do that thing where like I make a prediction and it ends up lessening the impact of what happens because it's not confirmed or anything. But if you guys haven't seen these Aubrey Plaza rumors, they're very cool and
They're
it's
spicy.
exciting. They are spicy and it's exciting. But I'm with you. I didn't like it. I thought it was misplaced, if anything else.
Yeah, misplaced. And honestly, like
Yeah.
just getting off the not top play of it all, I had one other top play that was the fact that their ballooned faces was practical. That Joe Locke
That
selfie came
BTS,
out.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that
I
was
loved
great.
because I actually couldn't tell in the moment. I assumed so. But it looked a little cartoonish. I think it had
Uh-huh.
maybe like some touch up in post. But I loved that. I
Yeah.
can only imagine like, putting that on, doing the makeup for that. And it's such like a small little like scene too.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
just like in general, the one thing I did like was them exiting out of that was what felt Willy Wonka about it too. The exiting out of the oven and
Right.
going down the slide and just running into one another. I'm like, this is so
Yeah,
childlike and fun. I was enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was fun. It's cool to see, just such a small piece of the episode get that type of production to it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I played also like Joe Locke had the great bit. It's giving second chance at love, and I like
Yeah.
it. Like
That was
like
great.
the Nancy Myers house and everything, and then they get the faces, and it's almost like Desperate Housewife plastic surgery kind of vibe a little bit. Obviously, like way more grotesque than any of those women, but like the lip filler and all that stuff, and the cheeks up and everything, and it came
Yeah.
with the wrinkle joke all at the same time. I'd drink the blood of a virgin to get rid of these wrinkles, she says.
Right. I loved the over the top like mention that like teen is underage too. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if kids are watching this, you're underage. Don't drink. It's not cool to drink. Like it was I thought it was pretty funny because it happened, I think, twice. They had to like directly mention.
Everybody who gets mad at like the subliminal messaging that these things like
Sure.
say in all these shows, it's a don't drink message. I
Yeah.
love that.
They gotta
Yeah.
win. They gotta win there, which is good. Kids
Yes.
shouldn't drink when they're 16. Richard Nebens, do you have any more top plays you want to run through? Because I got one big one left.
You go through one. I had one in my head, but you go to yours and maybe it'll come back to me.
I loved the canary in a coal mine vehicle that they used here with the offset reactions to the poison because it wasn't just Mrs. Hart going first, and they addressed it. And I thought that was very cool how Sajir Samita, as the potions witch, was like, okay, we're gonna study you to find out what's gonna happen to us so we can hopefully get ahead of it down the line as it moves down the different side effects. And I
Right.
thought that was such a cool thing. And then you throw in the Agatha drinking it late. So she gets delayed from everybody. So Deborah Jo Rupp's ahead, Catherine Hahn's behind, and everybody else is in the middle. And watching it a second time, I appreciated how we knew what was going to happen to everybody based on Mrs. Hart. We saw it happen to everybody, and then throughout the episode, I was like, "Oh, that's about to happen to Agatha," and then her hallucination comes like at the worst moment, right when we need to act quickly. She's getting the hallucination because she drank it late, and I thought that was a really cool stakes thing that they added to this was the offset side effects. That was really awesome to me, and the canary in the coal mine phrasing of it all, I thought was also very cool. One of my favorite idioms in the game is canary in a coal mine. What a cool thing that they used to do there.
It's
Those
true.
poor birds, sure, but like what a cool thing.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I thought that was sick. I have another top play, and it's just Sajir Samita looks great. She looks fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not familiar with her game based on her goofy as hell SNL run, which,
Yeah, right.
which I thought was fun. Yeah, I'm excited going into next week. Based on this, I think the trial is going to continue to be silly, but I hope the drama and horror starts to take over a little bit. And the other thing about Aubrey Plaza, she's not going to come in and just be this like chaotic character. She's gonna be funny. You know what I mean? Like that's what she does. And based on the promotional material, she's gonna be very funny. So, Nebens, what are you most looking forward to heading into episode 4?
Well, I mean, clearly getting Aubrey Plaza back. One thing too is I actually you were talking about the screeners. I did watch episode 4, but I actually don't remember a lot of it just because it was I think
Love
what,
that for you.
3 weeks ago. But no, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing just like what kind of mayhem they get into on the road moving forward, especially with Sharon now dead, and they have to handle that loss in the morning and everything, while trying to figure out what to do next on the road. And then all while you throw in friggin' Aubrey Plaza, go being just pure chaos and mayhem, because that's what she does in every role, and she's amazing at it. And I will say too, I wanted to make the comment that I agree with you guys and Jamie from last week that this is probably the hottest the MCU has ever been with Aubrey Plaza and Catherine Hahn. And I cannot wait to see more of that in next week and hopefully the weeks to come because they are awesome together. Like the best moments of the show, like you said, have been them on screen together, and I can't wait for more of it.
I didn't want to say it last week because I didn't want to yuck Jamie's yum. And if Jamie, if you're listening, I just a little bit. Natasha Romanoff has a lot of votes in the sexiest the MCU has ever been. All
That's
right,
true.
like we
That's
we
fair.
have, we have
That's
some
fair.
good history there. Her and Steve,
Yeah.
come on, man. But
Yeah.
I like her and
David
Bruce
Thompson,
in Age of Ultron.
also
Right.
very good. Oh, dude, what's a guy like you doing in a place like this? Come on,
Yeah.
talk about underrated.
Yeah. Looking forward to the next week. Honestly, just whatever the next adventure is. I'm hoping it's not the same. I'm hoping it's not a different type of this episode. I'm curious.
Another house.
Yeah, right. I hope it's not another house. That's a great way of putting it. Like, I don't want it just to be like, all right, let's change the theming and let's make the challenge slightly different, and then someone else dies. Someone else dying would be cool because then it would also, help my Willy Wonka of it all kind of theory. But no, in general, obviously, Rio Aubrey Plaza coming back sounds fantastic. Hopefully, it is this episode. But yeah, just moving forward, seeing what's next, and getting darker. I hope the series gets continually darker. I think digging into Agatha, Darkhold, Nicholas Scratch, Teen. They talked about the sigil in this episode. That was cool. That was a top play for me. And
Yes.
them all reacting to it and being like, oh, someone's protecting you, right? And just like
We didn't even mention the Darkhold showing up.
yeah, and just all of that. Like I think all that darkness, all of the and even take it a step further, Darkhold, Billy, Wanda, the MCU connections too, which I don't think the show relies on at all. You could watch this show without having seen WandaVision, I think, and still be getting most of what this show is, which I think is great for Disney and for general audiences. But I do hope there are some more consequential things that happen, maybe some more MCU connections, specifically diving into Agatha's past, Nicholas Scratch, Darkhold, all those things.
For sure. And again, this is such a unique review here on the Direct Podcast because I'm excited. I hope it's another house. I hope, and I do think we're going to get another costume change, and I think we need to
That
start
part's
expecting
cool.
Jack Schaefer wanted it, and we're going to keep getting that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm pumped for the direction this episode took. Was it an absolute banger? No. Was it something that like blew my mind in any way? Probably not. But the vehicle I enjoy. It has WandaVision vibes, but the spooky elements keep it fresh. And I'm excited to see which tropes they dive into next. You know what I mean? Because I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I just think we're on a path for an interesting series here. I think more or less it's gonna not be boring, and the fact that it's so goofy, keeping it interesting is important, and I feel like we're heading that way, which is a good place to be. Richard Nevins, thank you so much for joining us today. What can people look out for from you over at thedirect.com?
Well, thank you guys so much for having me again. It's been too long. Hopefully not too long until next time. Been busy the last few days. Actually, shout out David. He just edited a big article I've been working on the last couple of days on the new Mr. McMahon series on Netflix. I got some wrestling in there, which is pretty cool. They got a ton of people for that. The Rock, John Cena, Corey Rhodes, all those guys. So cool to dive into some sports stuff over at the Direct, which, one of my favorite things to write about. And then, yeah, just keeping up with Agatha. We got the Penguin going on too. Looking forward to seeing where that goes. And we got a good rest of the year coming up. Yeah, it should be a good last 3-4 months of 2024. And looking forward to seeing how things end off this year.
Love it. How are we feeling about the Dodgers?
Looking forward to it. Hey, so Shohei Ohtani might end up being Shohei Goatani. Like it's at some point or another. Holy hell, am I glad to have him on my team.
An absolute freak, man. It's insane.
Freaking nature.
He might pitch.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he might pitch is insane.
I've been commenting this all over YouTube. And if I can just go to a mini diatribe on baseball, this dude is one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's taking the equivalent of an off year and having one of the greatest hitting seasons in the history of baseball. Like, are you shitting me with what this guy is doing? Like, we might have a chance to do something really, really good this year. And like the Dodgers are really looking like the team that I'm really most looking forward to come playoff time, come October.
I need Dodgers Philly, dude. I need
that'd be great.
Philly, man. That's going to be amazing.